Hey there! Welcome back to Color and Craft Haven, a little corner of calm where we can slow down, breathe, and add a little color to the day. Today we're settling into one of my favorite cozy topics, building the ultimate coloring kit. Not the overwhelming, everything I own dumped on the table version, but the gentle, curated, calming setup that keeps your creativity flowing without frustration. Whether you're a longtime colorist or someone who just enjoys unwinding with a coloring book after a long day, having the right tools within reach makes an enormous difference in both your creative flow and your relaxation. In today's video, I want to walk you through the exact tools I keep near me, how I organize them, and how you can build a setup that feels supportive instead of stressful. The whole point is to make your coloring experience as enjoyable and effortless as possible, so you can sit down, take a breath, and start creating without hunting for supplies or losing momentum. Let's start by talking about what actually makes a coloring kit feel ultimate. This is different for everyone, but at its heart, an ultimate kit is about reducing friction. It's about removing all those tiny barriers that interrupt your creative flow. Things like missing sharpeners or cluttered containers or needing to dig through drawers just to find your favorite blue pencil. The best coloring kit is the one that feels like it's waiting for you, ready the second you sit down. For some people, that means just a pencil roll and a sharpener tucked beside their favorite chair. For others, the perfect setup includes multiple trays of markers and gel pens and blending tools, all organized by color. There's no right or wrong here. What matters is that your kit supports your creativity and helps you slip easily into that cozy, mindful headspace that coloring is so good at providing. Now let's talk about the tools that tend to be the heart of any coloring kit. Colored pencils are almost always the stars of the show. Even if you use markers for most of your page, pencils are the quiet workhorses that let you layer softly, deepen shadows, and add those delicate transitions that bring an image to life. You don't need a huge set. You just need the colors that you reach for most often. Right beside your pencils, you absolutely need a reliable pencil sharpener. Honestly, this is one of those things that people don't think about until theirs breaks a pencil core 3 times in a row. A good sharpener keeps your tips crisp and your transitions clean, and it protects those soft wax cores that tend to crumble. I actually like keeping more than one nearby, one for a finer point, and one that gives me a slightly softer, rounded tip for shading without leaving harsh grooves. Of course, no coloring kit is complete without erasers. Even if you don't make that many mistakes, erasers double as creative tools. A kneaded eraser lets you gently lift pigment without damaging the page. A plastic eraser gives you precision when you want to clean up finer details or brighten highlights. And if you like dramatic brightness, a little battery-powered eraser can give you the sharp pop of reflected light that gel pens sometimes struggle to create on textured paper. Having all three within reach means you can correct, refine, and enhance without stress. Markers are another wonderful tool to keep nearby, especially if you enjoy bold color or smooth gradients. Alcohol markers blend beautifully, but water-based markers have their own charm, especially in coloring books that might bleed through easily. If you're using markers today, keep your most used color family, maybe your blues and purples, or your browns and your neutrals, right at your fingertips. There's something calming about having your current palette gathered together, ready for action. Now, blending tools deserve their own moment because they can dramatically elevate your coloring without much effort. Cotton swabs, blending stumps, tissues, colorless blenders, and even a tiny jar of odorless mineral spirits. They all help soften transitions and create dreamy effects. Keeping a few go-to options within reach means you'll never interrupt your flow while you're hunting around for that one thing you forgot to grab. I also like to keep a handful of neutrals in my kit, especially whites, grays, skin tones, and browns. These colors are like the glue that holds a palette together. Even when I'm working in a wildly saturated fantasy color palette, the neutrals help ground everything and create believable shadows, textures, and harmony across the page. Another tool I love having close by is washi tape or simple page tabs. You can use them to mark your page, protect edges, or just add a little aesthetic charm to your workspace. I sometimes stick them right in the middle of the page for no good reason other than I think they're pretty. Washi tape becomes especially useful when you're working in a thick coloring book where pages like to curl or rub against each other. It's small, it's lightweight, and it can save you a lot of frustration. And it's so pretty. And finally, one of my quiet little heroes, a soft brush. This might be a makeup brush, a paintbrush, or a little dusting brush. It doesn't matter. Its only job is to sweep away eraser crumbs and pencil dust without smudging your colors. It's a tiny detail, but oh my goodness, it makes your pages stay crisp and clean. Now that we've talked about tools, let's move on to the part that most people struggle with: organizing everything. Your coloring kit shouldn't feel chaotic or overwhelming. It should feel like opening a drawer of joy. So let's create that feeling. The easiest way to keep your kit manageable is to keep your essentials in one dedicated space. This might be a desktop caddy, a zipper bag, a pencil case, or even a small box with a few dividers. Whatever you choose, the goal is simplicity. Anything you use every single time you color belongs in this one home base. When you sit down to create, this is the container you grab first. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to keep every supply they own in their everyday kit. That leads to clutter, decision fatigue, and even stress. Your mind can only relax when it isn't confronted by too many choices. So your kit should contain only your favorites, your most trusted pencils, your handful of beloved gel pens, your essential markers, and the tools that support your current project. Everything else can happily live on a shelf or in a drawer until you need it. Dividers, containers, small jars, and trays can help keep things tidy without forcing you to over-organize. If you want to group your pencils by warm tones and cool tones and neutrals and pastels, that's wonderful. If you prefer organizing by function instead of color like I do, that works too. What matters is that your hands instinctively know where everything is, so you can color without thinking about the logistics too much. A really helpful habit is creating a current project bundle. Whenever I'm halfway through a page, I gather the pencils and markers I'm using into a tiny tray or clip them together with a binder clip. Then, the next time I sit down, I don't need to rebuild my palette from scratch. It keeps your colors consistent across the page and saves you so much time. One thing I also love to do is give my current coloring book its own little spot. When your progress book rests somewhere clean and accessible, it becomes more inviting. You're more likely to return to it, and it becomes a cozy ritual instead of just another unfinished project. Speaking of rituals, let's talk about the cozy side of coloring kits: the atmosphere. Your kit isn't just tools. It's an invitation into your own creative world. Adding a few small comforts can deepen the whole experience. Lighting is a huge part of this. Soft lamps and warm bulbs, candles, fairy lights, they transform your workspace into something magical and calming. When the lighting is gentle, your nervous system responds by relaxing, which is exactly what cozy creativity is all about. Having a warm drink nearby adds another layer of comfort. Maybe it's tea or a hot chocolate, or maybe it's just a glass of water in your favorite mug. It doesn't matter. The point is to make the moment feel like you're savoring, not rushing through it. Music or ambient sounds can also elevate your coloring ritual. Soft instrumental music, rain sounds, or even just the quiet hum of your space can help anchor you in the moment. The goal is to help your mind settle into that gentle, meditative rhythm that coloring naturally encourages. And when you do sit down to color, give yourself permission to go slow. Coloring isn't about perfection. It's not about producing perfect gradients or hyper-realistic shadows, unless that's what brings you joy. It's about letting yourself breathe, letting yourself create, and connecting with that calm part of yourself that sometimes gets lost in the chaos of daily life. Now, once you have your kit and your cozy routine in place, The last thing to think about is maintaining it. The good news is that a good system maintains itself. If you always put your sharpeners back in the same spot, they'll always be there. If you occasionally refresh your palette, your kit will stay useful and inspiring. And if you rotate your tools with the seasons, maybe soft pastels in spring and deep jewel tones in winter, your kit stays playful and exciting. Remember that your coloring kit should evolve with you. Your creative interests will shift, your favorite tools will change, and your organizational style will grow with experience. That's part of the fun. Let your kit reflect where you are right now, in this moment of your creative journey. That's it for today's Colorful Time. Why not leave a comment and tell me what must-have tools you keep in your own coloring kit? Take care, stay creative, and I'll see you in the next one.